Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
We are now 1 week away from the primary election in Kentucky.
The focus is certainly on the Republican primary for governor, with 12 candidates fighting for the nomination. Samantha Valentino is sitting down with political experts to discuss the strategy behind the campaigns.
There are 12 candidates in the race. There are 4 that have only really run full-fledged campaigns. I would add Eric Dieters to the grouping of Cameron and Kraft and Quarles. I think that there's a path to victory for all 3 of the front runners, and I think Eric Dieters has the opportunity to be a wild card.
Kelly Kraft, Daniel Cameron, and their supporters have been running negative ads against one another, while other candidates, including Ryan Quarles and Alan Keck, have spoken out against the use of these ads. Political strategist TJ Littifix says they have pros and cons.
Negative advertising is effective. It has its role in politics to draw a contrast with your opposition, but you run the risk of also turning some voters off with ads that are over the top in some way, or if voters perceive it as a cheap shot.
UK political science professor Dr. Stephen Voss says it makes sense for Kraft and Cameron to go on the attack, but this method wouldn't work for other candidates.
Once you're in the position of Ryan Quarles or Alan Keck, where you're hoping to rise from deeper in the field, going negative may not have the same benefit. What you hope is that the 2 frontrunners beat each other up so much, bloody each other so much, that voters are looking for a third, nicer alternative.
Dr. Voss says standings in the polls also play a role in a candidate's decision to participate in debates.
Candidates are more or less open to participating in debates depending on how certain their victory is. I mean, people who are behind, challengers, almost always are willing to debate.
Which is why we've only seen the 2 frontrunners, Cameron and Kraft, share a debate stage once. In Lexington, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.
The primary election is next Tuesday, May 16th, but early voting begins on Thursday.
A Laurel County man has pleaded guilty to a robbery charge in federal court. Sean Fox was arrested for robbing the Community Trust Bank in Corbin in fall of 2022. Fox will serve nearly 7 years in prison. The court is recommending that he participates in mental health and drug abuse programs.
A search for a missing Southern Kentucky man came to a sad end overnight. Officials with the Laurel County Sheriff's Office say they found the body of 31-year-old Sean Martin early this morning. In a post on the department's Facebook page, deputies say they believe he fell from a cliff. Martin was last seen yesterday afternoon around 3 on Cloud Subdivision Road, just west of London.
1 person is dead after a car crash in Laurel County. The Laurel County Sheriff's Office says 2 vehicles collided head-on Tomcat Trail when the car traveling eastbound crossed the center line. 44-year-old Shayna Laster of London died shortly after she was taken to St. Joseph Hospital. 31-year-old Kara Smith of London was the other driver involved in the crash, and she was taken to the hospital.
A fire damaged a Pulaski County business last weekend. Owners of Idle Time Marine off Highway 90 say the business caught fire on Saturday. No one was there at the time. Owners shared on Facebook the damage is extensive. They say they will give an update on how the business plans to move forward in the coming days.
Dry weather continues across the mountains as we go into this evening. Here's a live look at the radar. Notice a clean sweep across the region, and that will continue as we go into tonight as well. Those current temperatures are mild. Most of us in the middle to lower 70s, 73 here in Perry County, up to 81 at this hour for Harlan, up to 78 in Middlesboro, 73 for Somerset, and 72 for London and Manchester at this hour. Those dew points are still muggy, upper 50s and lower 60s, but notice to the north, lower 50s, even some upper 40s in Ohio, and that drier air will continue pushing into our region as we go into tonight. So here's what we're watching. We dry out for the middle of the week, but those temperatures stay above average. We should be in the middle 70s. We're talking upper 70s and lower 80s for the rest of this week, and then we are tracking some rain chances by Friday, also into next weekend. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. Earlier today, President Biden announced that he has approved Kentucky's disaster declaration for some storms earlier this year. Back in February, storms caused flooding and landslides. More than 20 counties were approved for the funding. Perry County Emergency Management Director Jerry Stacy says this funding for this disaster will be used for roads damaged during the storms.
The declaration that I'm aware of that we got approved for February is for public assistance. So that would be county roads, bridges, city buildings, that sort of thing. It's for public property is what this declaration is for.
In the statement, President Biden said additional changes can come if requested by counties. We'll have more about this coming up tonight in our special newscast at 7.
Today is the 11th annual Kentucky Gives Day, and more than 200 nonprofit organizations across the Commonwealth are participating in the 24-hour-long event. Numerous nonprofits here in Eastern Kentucky are taking part, including many who were personally impacted by the flood. I spoke with 2 nonprofits in Knott County who say donations are important for rebuilding and continuing the work they do. Nonprofits such as the Hindman Settlement School rely on the generosity of others. Executive Director Will Anderson says days like Kentucky Gives Day are crucial.
We rely upon the goodwill and generosity of the community, to keep us going.
After the flood, donations are even more important to carry out their mission. One project the Hindman Settlement School staff is working on is repairing the historic Uncle Saul's cabin and museum, which was damaged by the flood.
Well, the cabin's important to us because a gentleman named Solomon Everidge played a key role in the founding of our school back in 1902. Unfortunately, it was impacted by the flood. We had, I think, 3.5 to 4 feet of water inside that cabin.
Anderson says there is still repair work to be finished inside the school as well.
You look at the building from the outside, it looks fine, but on the inside, there's no flooring, there's no walls. There's a lot of work that goes into restoring those buildings.
And Doug Naselrode, the director of the Troublesome Creek Stringed Instrument Company, says following the flood, donations have helped them move forward.
Well, our losses were immense. We lost about 40,000 square feet of programming space, our shops and our school. Our museum was destroyed. The Appalachian Artisan Center's clay studios.
He says repairing their buildings plus re-equipping them cost thousands of dollars. But their work is important to keep their employees going.
We're not just an employer. We employ people who are in recovery from addiction, which has been our mission for years now. And it's very important to them to have some place to go and something to do and income.
For any nonprofit, Naselrode says that is why even the smallest gift can make the biggest difference.
Our programs are need-driven to begin with. And so we, besides giving help, we need to receive help sometimes.
Nonprofits faced with flood-related issues are not the only ones hoping to receive donations. In the Cumberland Valley, CASA of Knox, Laurel, and Clay counties is also participating in Kentucky Gives Day. CASA is a nonprofit advocating for children through the court system. Volunteer coordinator Rhonda Welch says continually giving is important.
Federal monies have been cut toward the grants, and with regard to fundraising and donations, everybody's strapped for cash. Times are tough. Businesses are strapped. Other nonprofits are always trying to get money from organizations and businesses. So it's important to give every day because that's what we operate off of.
If you would like to make a donation to any of the 268 participating charities today, you can do so until 11:59 tonight through kygives.org. The link is also on our website.